Hi, we're here on the boat today. We've got a busy day ahead because our boat safety scheme examination is due in the upcoming week, so we're here to kind of get some jobs done really.
I printed off the examination checking procedures, which there's lots and lots of pages to, and I'm not really sure whether all's applicable to our boat. So from that we've sort of shortened that list of the main points that we think, you know, should be looked at on our boat, which is the gas, the electrics, the fuel system, fire extinguishers and the stove and flue. There may be some other bits, but as we've not been through this before with a BSS examiner, we're not really sure until he gets here what's going to happen.
As Tony mentioned, the scheme does provide boaters with this document which can be downloaded from their website, and we've posted a link to it down below in the description. Now, this document, as you can see, is pages and pages long, but it does cover all the points that the examiner will look at when he visits your boat. Luckily, you're also able to print off a copy of this checklist, which breaks down into different categories. So what we've done is gone through this list and identified the items that we know that we will need to have a look at today. Now, the following information is only our interpretation of some of the points on the boat safety scheme checklist. We're not intending it to be a how-to video, as we're not experts, so please make sure that if you are preparing for your own boat's examination, you get professional advice where required.
So I'm just going to check the fuel shut-off valve, which is under this back hatch. It's not the easiest place to get to, but it says on the BSS checklist that it should be accessible and free from leaks and should operate. I can't really check that it operates other than that it moves. I've had a look under here. There doesn't appear to be any leaks on the pipework, and the valve does turn quite easily from off to on. So that really is as much as I can check on this at the time being. Other than that, the fuel pipes that go across the boat floor underneath there to the fuel filter and water separator, I've had a quick look at those and they don't appear to be leaking either. The oil appear in good condition. There's no pools of diesel anywhere under the boat. So just checking the rest of the fuel system. It says that, as we said previously, it should be free from leaks, and there doesn't appear to be any leaks on here. It also says that all the parts of the fuel system should be made of fire resisting material, which generally means metal. So our fuel water separator is a metal one, and again there's no diesel leaking from there. The flexible pipes that connect onto the engine are in good condition, and there's no wet leaks on that. Just while we're down here, we'll have a look at the batteries. The batteries, there's a requirement for the batteries to be securely fixed in position, so they can't move, and that the terminals are protected from metal objects being dropped on them, so there can't be any accidents with short circuits. Our batteries have got a nice wooden cover on, and that's secured by a strap, so that there's nothing going to move anywhere. Battery isolators are fitted in line with the regulations as close to the batteries as possible. So you can see here that we've got one for the starter battery and one for all the 12-volt systems in the boat. At the other side, you'll see there's a new battery isolator and a fuse, which I've recently fitted because the inverter had been fitted by somebody previously, and they'd not put an isolator or a fuse in line with the circuit, so I've modified that just to make it compliant so that we can turn the inverter off with this big battery isolator switch here. One thing that you can't see from this video at the moment is that on the top of this lid are the labels that say that the fuel and battery isolators are housed below this cover. So at the moment I can't really do much more as far as I'm concerned with the BSS to check myself. It's pending on the inspector coming and going through it and telling us what he finds. So looking in the gas locker, it's important that your cylinders are well secured. As you can see, ours are secured with chains around the necks of the cylinders. That everything's in good condition. The hoses here were newly replaced just prior to us getting the boat. There's no visual signs of damage. That there's ventilation to the outside of the boat, which you won't be able to see on this video, but there's clear holes in the corners of both gas lockers. It's also a good idea when changing your cylinders to spray with a leak detector spray, just so that you know that you've got the fittings on correctly. Something like this, which is a couple of pounds I think from Screwfix, and you just spray on the fittings. If it's leaking, it'll bubble, but just put plenty on like that, and there's no bubbles, which is a good sign. The BSS document also says that where gas pipes pass through bulkheads, they should be properly secured and grommeted or bushed to make sure that the pipe's protected. As you can see here, ours passes through into the cabin through a proper brass bush which is secure. So that should be fine, that should pass okay. So the final check on our gas system, this is the gas tap and test point that feed the cooker. Check that the tap operates correctly, and we obviously aren't going to do anything with the test point, but when the BSS inspector comes, he'll attach a manometer onto this test point, and he'll do a gas tightness test on the installation to make sure there's no leaks. On some boats, if you've got a bubble tester, he probably doesn't need to do that. He'll use your bubble tester, but we don't have one on our boat. So this is the way you will test it, and he'll probably use some of the leak detector spray that I showed earlier, just to make sure that when that screws back in, there are no leaks coming from there. The next bit we're going to look at is the stove. Obviously most narrowboats have a stove, ours obviously does, that's why we're looking at it. BSS requirements is that the stove's securely fixed, and the flue's in good condition, and there are no signs of burning or heat damage to any of the surfaces surrounding where the stove's installed. Obviously, as you can see, ours is in good condition. There is no heat damage to any of the surfaces or things nearby. When we got the boat, there was actually a leak on the elbow at the back of the stove, which had been picked up in the survey, so that's been replaced with a new elbow and sealed with a fire cement type sealant to make sure it's good. We've also replaced at the ceiling level, where there was a lot more timber, we've actually put a heat resistant steel plate on there to stop any heat damage to the timber at the ceiling level. So I think that's it for the stove. I'm not too worried about that. It seems to tick all the boxes. While we're still doing appliances, there's a section in the BSS about them working correctly. With all gas appliances, it's essential that they're well maintained and that the flame's right. There are some deep pointers in the back of the BSS paperwork as to flame colour and picture for a gas appliance. The flame should be predominantly blue, with a little tip on the end. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like on our gas cooker. If I spark one of these up, and you can see that's predominantly blue flame, and that's pretty much how it should look.
You can see here that we have a fire blanket and a fire extinguisher in our galley. Now, as our boat is longer than 36 foot, it's a requirement of the boat safety scheme that we have a further 2 more fire extinguishers. We have one at the rear of the boat by the stern doors, and you can just see the other one which is being refixed by the front doors after it was moved while we completed some joinery work. Now, it's important that your blanket and extinguishers are all visible and accessible. The amount, type and the position of them will all depend on your boat, and these requirements can be checked in the boat safety scheme documents. Ventilation is another essential part of the safety scheme, and the examiner will check to make sure that your ventilation is adequate for your boat. As you can see, we have 2 vents either side of our front doors, along with mushroom vents in the roof, and these run along the full length of the boat. We also have vents at the rear of the boat next to the doors, and it's essential that all ventilation on your boat is kept clear at all times.
One of the requirements is to check that the shoreline connections are in good condition. This is, as you can see, with the lid removed, in good condition, no broken or obviously corroded parts. We'll next move on to the electrical panel. In our boat we've got a DC distribution panel that's got pushing circuit breakers for all the different circuits on the boat. It's a requirement of the BSS that you've got proper protection to your DC circuits, either by means of a circuit breaker or by a fuse. It'll vary from boat to boat. It probably doesn't look anything like this on your boat, but this is the example that we have. And then moving over to the 230 volt AC distribution panel, we have a selector switch, so we can select between shoreline, off or inverter supplies. Again, a BSS requirement that one of these is fitted so you can't connect shoreline and inverter at the same time. As you can see in that position, it's showing inverter available and powering up. In the middle is off, and in position 1, if we had a shoreline connected, that would light up and those 2 lights would now come on. To the right of this, we've got a 30 milliamp rated residual current device, or RCD, which protects the boat if there's a serious fault, and it protects you from electrocution. This should be tested regularly, probably maybe monthly, by pressing the test button marked with a T. So on ours it's a yellow button there, and this switch should pop down. So that works okay, and then reset like that. And to the right of that we've got miniature circuit breakers for the sockets and immersion heater supply, again, which operate by switching up and down, all in good condition, so can't see any problems with those when the inspector comes to check them. So there we are. The boat safety inspector's visited the boat today. He's been here for a couple of hours. He's been through all the systems that we talked about in the video, and luckily enough we've got a clean bill of health, so we're okay to carry on boating for a while longer.
So we hope that you've enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. Bye.